Hello, Bill.
Well, hi, Grace. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for
hmm
agreeing to be here. Share your story.
Okay. Well, let me give you context. So
Okay.
people don't know me. They might look around, they see, oh, there's like Iron Man and all these different things. That's
Mhm.
because I grew up in the television industry. I used to work for the ABC network, and then from there I went on and started this agency. And I was very blessed to get to work with a lot of really cool people. I've directed people like the Black Eyed Peas and Gwen Stefani. I was really living my dream because I grew up getting attracted to TV. It's rooted to even when I was a little kid. My father was really ill. And right around the time I was 8, 9, 10, he was supposed to die. So I grew around this area where death and dying was kind of part of the culture. The trouble was is that he was in a lot of pain, so he became very physically and verbally abusive. And
Mhm.
I used to hide in my room. And that's where I would watch old movies. That's when I learned about storytelling, about motion pictures and things like that. And that's what really launched me into this whole career was the what turned out to be my escape turned out to be my inspiration. Now, I got to travel the world and I married my high school sweetheart, had a great family. But, I say a big but, one of the things about sometimes chasing success is that you miss some of the most important things that are right in front of you. And without even trying, I was oblivious to the fact that I'd become an absentee father and husband. I was gone. I came back for all the right things. I was at the right birthdays and the right parties and the right sporting events and things like that. And I didn't realize how much I was gone until my wife pointed out that when they drove by the airport where we live, the kids would say, "Oh, that's where Daddy works." It was a wake up call. So I had an opportunity to produce a documentary project, and a passion project could be a new chapter of my creative life. So I did this documentary, and by the grace of God, we found a distributor. They were in Nashville. They loved what we did. They said, "We want to distribute your work. And if you can get to Nashville, we will have a contract waiting for you." So I remember so well. It was January 28th, 1999, that I hopped on a plane with my best friend, Timothy Greenidge. We were going to Nashville together. We kind of look like the odd couple too, because I look like I'm descended from leprechauns, and he looks like a linebacker for the Green Bay Packers. So the two of us together, side by side, he would sit in the aisle seat, I'd sit in the window seat. And the plane took off. And I remember that morning thinking, today my life's going to change. Today's the day. I mean, everything changes today. And I remember looking out the window and looking at the scenery and just feeling that sense of wonder and expectation. But it wasn't quite what I expected because about 20 minutes into the flight, I started to feel kind of sick. It's like it was weird because as if things were kind of closing in on me. It's like I was mildly nauseated, but a little like feeling out of sorts. And I remember thinking to myself, no, I'm going to be fine because I traveled all the time. I was on a plane every week, if not every other week. So jumping on a plane and being on a plane, this should be completely normal. This was my peace place. This is my comfy place. But it wasn't that day. It got worse and worse as if things were closing in. And I finally thought something's wrong. I turned to Tim. I said, "Tim, something's not right." And that is the last thing I said before my eyes rolled back in my head, my body went completely limp, and my heart stopped. Now, Tim is not a medical professional, but he recognized pretty quickly something was desperately wrong. So he started reaching over and hitting me like, "Bill, come on, come on, Bill, you know." And I guess he did that for a minute or so. Nothing happened. So Tim, being the guy he is, he picked me up and he put me in the aisle of the plane and started doing chest compressions. And he continued doing that. He said 2, 3 minutes. He got to a point where he realized, I'm going to have to break his ribs. And just as he pulls back his fist, I took a breath. And needless to say, it made quite a scene on the plane. And they ended up making an emergency landing. And for those people that are into the medical side of the story, I was diagnosed with malignant neurocardiogenic syncope. It's like a kissing cousin to like a fainting spell. In my case, I have such an extreme form that my brain, under the right circumstances, will tell my heart to stop, which isn't good.
Mm-hmm.
And there's really not a return from that unless there's an intervention usually. And in my case, I had surgery to have a pacemaker put in. This miracle device that intervenes and keeps me from dying and making my wife a widow. Now, that's the medical side of it. Walking you through what was happening while Tim was pumping my chest.
Mm-hmm.
Literally the nanosecond that my eyes rolled back in my head, I left the dimension of time and space and stepped into the dimension of eternity. Now, I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what to expect. But I can tell you this, that going back to my childhood and what I experienced with my father, we certainly had a religious home, but deep down, I really believed that if I ever came face to face with God, he was going to put his finger in my face and say, you failed. You disappointed me. You let me down. And I could hear the echoes of those lies I heard as a child. So I did not want to meet God.
Mm-hmm.
Then everything changed. You see, when I crossed over, I came immediately in the presence of God. And I was blown away, absolutely blown away. I didn't meet that person that hated me or was disappointed with me. I was in the living embodiment of pure love. It was so overwhelming and so consuming that I realized I was in the presence of love. Everything in me said, as high, as deep, as wide was the extent and the depth of God. His love was as eternal, with no limit whatsoever. And at the same time, wow, I was in the overwhelming sense that I was in a space where everything that ever has happened, or everything that ever will happen, has happened. It was like as if a laser beam went through my head. It was like, I got it. I was in the presence of God. Mm-hmm. I come back from that experience. You also start to realize that every breath you and I take mm-hmm. is a gift. Mm-hmm. You can't buy your next breath because it is a gift. It is an act of pure love that comes from God himself. And of course, questions that come to mind. Why have you given me this precious gift of life? And what am I supposed to do with this? Because I'm absolutely convinced that you're here for a purpose. God didn't waste your breath. You are here for a purpose. And you may not understand it, you may not know it in totality, but that doesn't rob you from the realization that this breath is a confirmation you are here for a purpose. We can go through life and things don't always go the way we planned. In fact, I like to call it plan A and plan B, is that we go through life with plan A. thinking that things are going well. And when it's not going our plan A, we think that something's bad or it's hard. But that plan A is usually answered with plan B.
Mm-hmm.
Plan B is not a compromise because plan B stands for plan blessed. Is usually a plan that's far better than anything we could have imagined. It might be more difficult, it could be longer, but the process of not only walking that path and experiencing that blessing, it's a process of becoming. When I go back to the most important thing I learned, and I say this with all my heart, Grace.
Yeah.
I'm not a theologian, but from the encounter, I can say the creator of the universe doesn't just know you. The creator of the universe doesn't just like you. The creator of the universe is madly in love with you. Madly in love with you. And has hoped every hope with you. And has shed every tear with you. And has dreamed every dream with you. And he's your biggest cheerleader. Your absolute biggest cheerleader. And so don't be distracted that plan A doesn't look the way you thought it would look, because you can trust in plan blessed, because that's how God is.
I like that you said plan blessed. And you had a plan A on your flight,
Sure did.
and that happened to you, and you came back and you were blessed.
More than I could have ever imagined.
Yeah.
In fact, it's crazy in my book, and even I do web classes now that I kind of teach people about the power of story. And I say right up front, and I say it a lot, that I actually wish everybody could die and then come back,
Yeah. What's
because it would change how you live totally.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. This pure love.
Mind blowing. Absolutely mind blowing. Yeah. The truth is I believe all of us have had different types of death. Sometimes the death of our relationships. It could be a death of our finances. Sometimes the death of our dreams. And the idea of experiencing death obviously comes with sometimes pain, sometimes heartache, and sometimes deep grieving and processing. But after what I experienced, I am absolutely convinced that all of us have a comeback story. The thing that's so important for many people to remember is that the chapter you're in, or the death that you have experienced, doesn't define you. And it definitely does not mean this is the way it's going to be. It is the preparation for the comeback. It is the preparation for the next chapter. It is the preparation for the wonder and witness that comes with a death.
Yeah. To be in service to you, Bill, what's the name of your book?
Oh, thank you. My first book is called The 7 Disciplines of Relationship Marketing. And that's where I actually coined the term Plan A and Plan Blessed. And then, of course, I talk about my death experience through the entire thing.
Fantastic. I'll be happy to share that link. Bill, thank you so much for sharing your story and really taking us through the experience. It wasn't an end, it was a beginning to something more.
Oh, yeah, totally. Totally. And as this is an exciting new chapter for you, Grace. So I wish you absolutely the best. And it is an honor to be your guest and to share the
Thank
story.
you. Thank you so much.